Okay. Okay. www.fullblastradio.com. I'm Rollo, and you are listening to Fact Project. Fact Project is a show where we're going to try to bring some facts and some information to members of our community. FACT is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African Centered Thought. That's coming from the title of my book, Fundamental African Centered Thought: Lessons and Solutions for African People. And today is the last Monday of Black History Month. I want to give a big shout out to DJ Tiger. Salute to you, brother. We got brother Kalechi of the I'm not the Fact Project, of appealinc.org. And we're going to bring him in. Brother Kalechi, can you hear me? Okay, I think you're on mute, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Okay.
backstage.
No worries. I saw you. This is all kind of new to me. I'm kind of getting back into doing radio after taking a hiatus to write a book. So all of this is a little new to me. But thank you for joining us today, brother. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So you are a member of appealinc.org. But before we get into appealinc.org, I want to get into your personal journey just a tiny bit. I see the red, black, and green flag back there. What was your journey as it relates to how you arrived at this place, as it relates to Pan Africanism?
Wow. That's a long one. So I'm actually I was born in Nigeria. So that's where my family's from. I was not oriented with Pan Africanism in Nigeria, unfortunately. I came here when I was really young, so I've spent most of my life. I was basically a child when I came up here. But it really wasn't until I got to college. I actually went to historically white college. uh, and
PWI, they call it.
say it again.
PWI, predominantly white institution.
Right, exactly. Um, and it was really that experience of being in that cume. I grew up in DC. DC, well, mostly black, less mostly black now than it used to be.
Right.
But back in those days, it was pretty much all black in my neighborhood, in my school. So my own environment, everybody I was around with, you know, working with and dealing with were black. So being that mostly white environment, I experienced some in your face, racism, right? White supremacy. And we naturally, of course, gelled together, black people, that is, on that campus. So, I got more politically conscious. It just happened to be, this will be dating me, but it just happened to be around the same time that Brother Malcolm, came back into the I would say the mainstream conversation with the movie from brother um,
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee. There you go. So and I was it was a politically hot time. That was the early '90s. Dr. Wilson, was in her book. Adasis papers was also coming into more public light. It was a conscious time. The music of the time itself. The hot groups were Public Enemy and KRS-One, and it was a different time than we have right now. So at that time, it was really a politically charged area. Got into reading. Really, I would say the autobiography of of Malcolm X probably revolutionized me. It opened my eyes. Again, I born in the continent, but I did not gain my Pan Africanism from the continent. It was from Africans in the diaspora. It was the experience that really shed light. Because we're still really educating ourselves on the continent with colonial education. So you're not going to get conscious with the education that you're getting on the continent. So it's really the experience. Of course, I got involved pretty early with organizations, various organizations. We actually started several organizations at the time, mainly centered around counter white supremacy, empowering Black people, so on and so forth. Of course, the Million Man March was not that far, it was a few years, into the 90s. So it was really a politically charged time. So that's where my consciousness, this was the music and everything associated with it really came from. And over the years, as you grow, you do bigger things and you get more involved with greater groups. I got, as I left college, I got involved with local organizations in DC, many of whom were headed by really national figures. I got involved with Ujima Shule, which is the first independent African school in the country, headed by Baba Sisunkukulu Zulu, who he has a long history in terms of his involvement, which goes all the way back to SNCC and before then. So it was really the orientation and sitting at the feet of those types of elders that really brought me to where I am now. I've been the executive director of Appeal for about 10 years now, actually. Since 2014, I was founding board member. But I've been involved in many organizations, since then, and remain involved with organizations like United Black Community, like in Cobra, like many other organizations that are centered around Black empowerment, Black people. I'm very, very clear that we are neck to neck, whether we recognize it or not. We're neck to neck, and all the ways that we can unite, empower us to create the future that we want. All the things that we do to divide ourselves are only counterproductive to that future. And I'm really clear on that. And I'm about building a future where Black people are. I'm also conscious of the demographics of the world and how it's changing. There will come a time when Black people will be forced to take their rightful place again as the leaders, the masters of this world, if you will. We just have to prepare ourselves for it. We don't want to get to that point and be the whole world is a jeopardy if we're not straight. We're not just doing this for Black people. We're doing this for the whole world, because the whole world is going to be in our hands. White folk have mismanaged and abused their position in that position in the world. However they got there, that's the position right now. That position is temporary. It's changing, which is why a lot of the politics and the war and so forth is moving in a more aggressive direction, because they're recognizing it's changing. We have to prepare ourselves for that world, and it starts really on a grassroots level, because in about 100 years, the most populous country in the world is going to be Nigeria, believe it or not. More than China, more than India. We have to prepare for that world now. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, now you mentioned the music. How much of an impact did the music have on your consciousness? The Public Enemy, the Poor Righteous Teachers, X-Clan, Jungle Brothers, and so forth.
That's my playlist on my phone right now.
That's funny.
I mean, I was actually when I was in college, I was a DJ and a radio host. I sort of played around with a lot of different professions, and so I was definitely. I mean, I was putting together concerts for a lot of the the native tongue groups at the time. So yeah, music was very influential. I can't really tell you what's going on right now with the music, but at the time, it was really a fabric. I mean, we have these periods in our history where the zeitgeist, the consciousness of the time, is supportive of and feeds a level of consciousness in the masses. And the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s was one of those periods. If you came up in your fundamental years during that time, you have that, you have that experience, whether you maintain it, whether you're now conscious still or whatever. That's a whole other thing. But we had that period in the 70s, we had a period in the 50s, had a period in the 20s. Different things led Black people to that period where consciousness was really being cooked in the masses. And the early 90s, music was part of it. Even the films were part of it. I mean, the television, everything was part of it, of that culture. It wasn't necessarily Pan-African, centered, but it was definitely, consciousness building. Somebody like Mr. Farrakhan was, he could really go anywhere, and have a standing room only. I mean, I was at the mosque a lot back in those days, and one in DC, Founders Day, all that stuff, Savior's Day. But yeah, so the music is definitely a big part of it, and all the groups you just mentioned, especially Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, BDP. Yeah, I mean that was, and if you my phone right now, that's my playlist. It goes back, even before Common was when he was Common Sense.
That's right.
It's way back, right?
Yeah.
So that's still my playlist right now. Is really primarily that conscious hip hop, and of course the Afro beat as well, going back to folks like Fela, Sunny Ade, Bright Chimezie, a lot of continental artists that were also feeding that same consciousness.
Yeah, so you're in DC. And you mentioned some organizations out of DC. Are you familiar with Umoja House with Baba Lumumba?
Familiar with it very much. I'm a member of the organization that runs the Umoja House, which is United Black Community. And as Umoja House is also the area, is also the space. It's a community space. It's also the space that our organization uses for some of our activities. Like, for instance, we have our co-op at the Umoja House. So I'm there every week.
Nice.
It's very much and Baba Lumumba, again, he's one of my mentors. I've known him for I guess almost like 30 years at this point.
Wow. Okay.
I work with him. I work with him, different organizations and different activities. He really brought me into the DC based group that organizes Kwanzaa every year, and I've been working with them. I'm actually the editor of the Kwanzaa publication that comes out every year. Baba Lumumba used to be. He's the proprietor of and the founder of Umoja House. He used to have that role. So as he's getting older, he's passed the baton, and some of those responsibilities have gone to me. So I'm very much familiar with Umoja House.
Oh, nice. I actually quoted Baba Lumumba in my book, so I have to get you some copies so you can bring it over here.
Oh, he would love that. He would love that.
Yeah. So I brought you on to really talk about Appeal Inc. What is Appeal Inc? What can you tell us about that?
Right. So Appeal, well, first of all, it's an acronym. It stands for Association of People for Pan-Africanist Economic Advancement Through Leverage, right? And each of those words has a really heavy meaning. Our mission is to organize and strategically utilize the vast resources of our people, locally, nationally, globally, to facilitate economic empowerment and to create truly strong, self-sufficient, prosperous communities. We are operating on the premise that within our auspices, within our hands, within our control, we have all the resources we need to create the world that we need to create for our people. Our issue is not lack of resources, but lack of organization, lack of targeting, lack of priorities, lack of leadership in terms of utilizing, not begging somebody for what they have, right? But utilizing what we already have to create the reality, the future, the community, the prosperity that our people deserve. So that's what the organization is focused on, and it's obviously a grand mission. And let me give a shout out to the founder of Appeal, brother Lasana Mack. If folks in DC know him, he's also the founder of Black Notes. A lot of folks know about Black Notes. It's a sort of jazz, Afrobeat, contemporary African music group ensemble that he was leading. But so yes, so Appeal, we have several platforms to achieve that goal, right? So we have this grand goal, but we understand a big part of it is education. You have to orient the people to the mindset. A fool and his money are soon departed, right? You have to raise the consciousness of the people, not just about money, but about themselves. So that's a big part of what we do is education towards achieving that goal, right? So we have financial literacy workshops that we do. You can call it like a Saturday school for adults. Every Saturday, we have almost every Saturday we have workshops on a variety of topics that are intended to raise your consciousness, and again, financially, culturally, politically, historically, so on and so forth. And we have many notable speakers. One of our founding members and our board chairs is Brother Tony Browder. And he shares with us, during the workshops throughout the year. And we have many, many others. So we do financial literacy workshops, and we also do historical, cultural, political literacy workshops every Saturday. So you can go to appealinc.org, go to events. You'll see some events. We got our brother Gerald Horn, F.A.C.T, so many, many others who are coming. We've already had quite a few, just this month already. Because Black History Month is year round for us. We're not just working in February. We are focused on Black people and empowering them throughout the year. So in addition to the education piece, we also have a think tank to address important socioeconomic issues. We have Black Saturdays Co-op, which is it's a store, right? That is focused on exclusively products made by Black people. We're not just a store where that's Black owned. Everything that we sell is made by Black people, and we're focused on personal care products because those are the consumables, the things that you're gonna buy every week or every other week, things you run out of. Everything from bathroom tissue to toothpaste to deodorant, stuff you're gonna use every single day. That's what we focus on, and we know there are Black people that make detergent. They make everything, cleaning product, everything you need on a daily basis. There are Black people that make it. So our focus was we want to have a place where you can actually come and buy it. You can order it too. A lot of these folks you order online, but if you're in the DC area and we're trying to expand in different areas, you can actually come and buy the product. You can walk out with Freedom Paper, walk out with True, walk out with Good Vibe, walk out with those products without having to wait, to get ordered or whatever. And we also are able to focus on local manufacturers as well. So the Black Saturday Co-op on Saturday, this Saturday, and that happens at the Moja House, which is 2015 Bunker Hill Road in Northeast DC. So that's a really important relationship we have with Black manufacturers all over the country, and in some cases all over the world. Some of the products do come from Senegal and Sierra Leone as well. Like we have teas from Sierra Leone, we have shea butter from Ghana, we got some medicinal products from Senegal, but it's primarily products that are produced right here in the contiguous United States by Black people.
Now that's it.
Of course, we have our effort to launch the first national Black credit union, and it's the idea is we already have a lot of us already have our money in institutions that are not owned by us and not controlled by us. They're not there for our benefit, but we have to have our money somewhere. And out of convenience, we have it there. But while our money is there, sitting in their coffers, they're able to leverage that money to do what they want to do, lend to who they want to lend to, invest in whoever they want to invest in. We need to rechannel that energy into an institution that we control for our benefit to facilitate financial and economic sufficiency and empowerment and prosperity for our people. So that's the focus of the National Black Credit Union that we're in the process of launching.
And how far have you gotten with that credit union project?
Right. So there are basically 3 phases, and we're in the middle of the second phase. I would say in the middle of the second phase of launching. We've raised almost $300,000, which is the goal that we really set is 300,000. Even though I would like us to get to 500,000, but we're not going to wait for that. Once we get to that financial goal, there are also some I would say participation goals, right? In other words, we need to demonstrate, because there's certain criteria that's designed to show the viability of the charter. There are a lot of benefits to, and of course, with our orientation being community, and there's a big distinction. Maybe I should probably highlight that between banks and credit unions, right? And going the credit union route is really critical to us being able to achieve the goals we want to achieve and have it be a collective achievement, right? The banks are, whether they're public or private. Public meaning that they trade on NASDAQ or whatever, and private meaning that they're family owned. Whether they're public or private, these are corporations that are owned by shareholders, right? And so in turn, the customers, if you have an account in, I don't know, Bank of America, whatever, you have no control of what they do, what their policies are, what their rates are. You're just a customer, right? So their shareholders, they control what happens. They benefit from the profit they make. These are businesses for the owners of those businesses, right? And that's even the black ones. I mean, black banks are important. They provide access in areas and sometimes where you can't have any banks at all, especially brick and mortar. They definitely, have especially in DC, we have an industrial bank. They play an important role, but they're not community based. Community doesn't share in the profits. So community doesn't have any control in terms of what they do. You don't get a vote because you have an account there. So we really wanted one institutions where we're able to not just share in the benefit, but also control the direction and have a say in terms of where the resources get invested in for the benefit of the community, right? So that's why we went the credit union route. And there are also some protections that are afforded you once you have a charter for the credit union, which is all beneficial to our goal of leveraging the resources that we have. Just like they leverage resources we give them. If we have those resources, we can leverage them ourselves, right? And regardless of how much you have, if you're a member of the credit union, you have one vote, and you have as much say so as anybody else. So what we're focused on now, of course, we've gone a long way with the fundraising part, and we're grateful for that. We're really focused on getting our members to really, there's surveys you have to do to show that you're interested, really interested. In other words, the goal is, once we have the charter, we need to have folks who are committed to having an account. And you can't just say, I'm committed. You got to actually put something down and say, I'm committed. I'm going to do it. They don't want to give you a charter and then, a year later, you're going to shut down because you don't have enough folks that want to get accounts because they don't like putting the money in black, whatever. All those things, we have to sort of work that out now. And that's another part of the education process. So I would say we're more than halfway there. If you want to sort of look at it simply, but it's the money, it's the participation, it's the volunteers. Because if this was easy, it would have been done already, right? There's nobody out there gonna do this for us. It's us doing it for ourselves. If we don't do it for ourselves, we're gonna be left out waiting for somebody to hand us something. There's no black savior out there, right? There's never going to be a Malcolm X again, So we need to get that through our heads. We need to stop looking for a black savior and recognize that we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Each of us, you are the one that you have been waiting for. And the second we recognize that as a people, when we recognize that as individuals, then we can see how we actually put our hands in getting the work done. And that's what we're We're about empowering people, giving them opportunities to be part of the building of prosperity and creating institutions and vehicles to make that happen.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, we're speaking to Brother Kelechi of appealinc.org. That website again is appealinc.org. Now, Brother Kelechi, you mentioned the financial literacy program. What can a person expect to learn in the
Yes,
Appeal
so
literacy?
we have some regular topics that we talk about, and then that we provide, and then we have sometimes we'll have some special topics. For instance, we start with the basic, and I like to meet folks where they are. I know it'd be great if if you learned this, you learn how to balance a checkbook, and when you were little, that'd be nice. If that happened, we know for most of our community, we don't really get introduced to banking until we're older, um, and oftentimes we're sort of trying to catch up. So we start really on a basic level, banking, savings, investing, credit. Um, Estate planning is really important. We lose a lot of resources um, just because nobody bothered to put a will together. I mean, some of the richest folks, richest, wealthiest folks in our community, don't even have um, estate planning. And then when they pass away, we heard the stories. When they pass away, I think Prince's family is still fighting for that money, right? Because there's no planning. But you don't have to be, a millionaire or a billionaire to have a will. Whatever you got, we need to manage what we have so that the next generation benefits from it. If your grandfather built something, your grandchildren should benefit from it. Your grandfather is not building for you to squander it. By the time your children are around, there's nothing left. White folk are living off of the legacy of slavery right now. They never met their great grandfather, great grandfather, but they're living off that legacy right now because they have a plan. They put plans together. We need to be of that orientation. So that's part of what we do. We have professionals who deal with finance, who provide a variety of topic on a variety of things like taxes. We had a workshop recently on tax sales, how to use that instead of getting investment. Just holistic savings systems like Susus. We've launched several Susus through these workshops, because once you educate people, then you now empower them to do for self with that information. They're now able to empower themselves and empower their broader community, their families and so on and so forth. So the financial literacy workshops really go from that. Sometimes we deal with things like crypto and other more, I would say, more on the fringe sort of topics, but we really want to make sure that we have the core information in terms of financial literacy, so that when we have access to resources, we're able to not just maximize it but grow it and keep it. That's the hardest part, is keeping what you got, right? Keep it so your children and grandchildren can benefit from it. So that's a big part of what I'll focus on. But it really does range in terms of what we provide, from the basic all the way to the somewhat complex in terms of topics, financial literacy topics.
And the historical and cultural literacy program. I like that name. Cultural literacy. Is there like a book club? Do you watch documentaries? How does that work?
Right. So we have renowned historians, political scientists, movement leaders come and talk to us about whatever topic it is. But like, for instance, during we're actually in the middle of a historical, cultural, political literacy series. We've had Sister Nkechi Taifa, who is again a founding member of Appeal, who is a leader in the reparations movement, and she, whether nationally or internationally, her name is there. She's on Capitol Hill. She's in California. She's wherever she needs to be. So she'll actually come in and talk to the folks who attend the workshop. You get to ask questions. So she gave updates on what's happening with reparations. Some of the changes that are happening in Illinois and in different places. So we actually have folks come through. We have I mentioned Brother Tony Browder. He used to do a workshop on Ace Restoration Project, and he's on the Potomac tour and whatever topic that he wants to share with us on. We have noted historians like Dr. Obat Shaka, who's an activist and speaker, professor. He's been doing his work, organizing for a really long time. Talk about a variety of topics, including how do we maintain a balance between Black men and Black women in our communities. All these topics that we struggle with, there are experts who have been working on that topic. So we want to bring those experts to the community so you can actually hear them. You can talk to them. You can ask them questions. You can interact with them. We used to have our workshops before the pandemic. It would be in person at the folks know where the Thurgood Marshall Center is in DC. That's where we used to have our Saturday workshops. But the pandemic caused us to go virtual, and we've stayed virtual because by going virtual, we have opened ourselves up not just to folks who are not, in the DC area attending these workshops. And of course, the organization is growing outside of DC, but we also open ourselves to speakers, like Brother Gerald Horn. He doesn't have to come to DC to do a presentation for us. He's doing a workshop next month on the history of radicalism in DC. He can do that from wherever he is. So the virtual environment has allowed us to be able to have speakers, from wherever we are, wherever they are. Our brother Winoka Rashidi, who passed away a couple of years ago, was a frequent, speaker for these workshop series. Whether he was in California, Oakland, wherever he was, he could always present without having to travel to DC, right? So we have the speakers actually come through and share with us. We can have a conversation with them, interact with them, and connect with them however they want us to connect with them. Many of them have different projects. They may have trips, going to the continent or going to wherever, going to Mexico, going to wherever it is. They may have books. So we can actually connect with them on the projects that they're on. But they're able to share with us virtually on Zoom.
Okay, now the Appeal Inc. think tank. I always thought a think tank is what Black people need to have a plan of action to really transform the condition of the group. What about the think tank? What can you tell us about the think tank?
Right. So a lot of the work the think tank does comes from conversations we have in the or what comes out of the workshop series. Sometimes a question will come up. We need a little more research on this and that. So think tank will focus on a topic, and oftentimes it'll come up with a solution, and then we'll incorporate it into the organization, or we'll support another organization to do that work. Example, I mentioned the co-op. That idea came out of the think tank. We were talking about economic empowerment, and then through that work, we looked at the possibility of creating an avenue to connect Black manufacturers with Black consumers, and through that work, the co-op came out of it. So the idea is to really have a place where thinkers can analyze, read, do research, connect with other, and it's also our major networking. I would say our major networking entity where we connect with other groups, other maybe not think tanks, but other groups of Black thinkers globally, in terms of collaborating, looking at different economic models, look at different ways that we can organize ourselves. And there are Black folks who are doing a variety of things all over the world, including folks who getting together to buy land in different parts of the U.S. and that's a whole discussion. folks who are repatriating. All these discussions sort of come up, and all the research comes up to what actually makes sense. So that's really what the think tank is focused on, really getting deep into some of these complex issues and working on solutions to come up with solutions that are viable, that make sense, and how you connect with other Black people, because we cannot operate as if we're on an island. There are Black people literally all over the world that you've never heard of doing the exact same thing you're doing right now, but you don't know them, right? So we also have to find ways to connect with them, and think tank for us is does that work.
Okay, now how does that differ from the resource bank?
Right. So the resource bank is really more of a reservoir for the more of the financial literacy professionals. In other words, it's a place where where you can access information and connect with resources in our community that you may need for this and that, right? Our members also have access to recordings, because we especially since we've been on Zoom, but we were doing it even before we were on Zoom. We record workshops, but the recording's a lot easier when you're virtual. So our members are able to actually go and look at, watch. Obviously, you can't interact because you're watching the recorded video, but it can learn a variety of topics or look at a variety of topics that have been done before. Going back, we've been doing these workshops for over 10 years actually. So you can go back. We probably don't have every workshop during that 10-year period. We try to focus on the main ones. So there's a lot of resources that are available. Even if you just came up with an organization, you can actually still go back and listen to some of the the most fascinating, impactful workshops going back throughout the 10-year period of I think we did our first workshop at the end of 2014. So we've been going since then with these workshops. There's a lot of resources there as well in our archives.
Now, the Appeal Inc. Black Manufacturers Co-op, you mentioned that. I want to circle back to that. That kind of reminds me of Marcus Garvey's Negro Factories Corporation. They try to manufacture goods, and I think the manufacturing and the production of goods is something that's overlooked. So, for example, we've invented the refrigerator, the air conditioner, and any number of other items, but we don't own a factory making those products. Tech is a big thing now, and a lot of children are being steered in the direction of learning how to do coding, but someone still has to build a computer. So is the Appeal Inc. Black Manufacturers Co-op, is it going to include physical products like computers and other things?
Right. Well, it is physical products, but it's not at this point. The co-op is focused on personal care products, right? So it's not we're not really we're not focused on items I would say of choice. Maybe that's not the right terminology, but we're really focused on items of need. In other words, we're not necessarily stirring you to buy something you're not already buying. We're just trying to change where you buy it from, right? So the co-op is more of like a essentials store, right? So which is the manufacturers we partner with are manufacturers of the consumables. We have the brother that makes Azuli, and then Azuli has a variety of products, including black soap and shea butter, a bunch of other things. Brother Moale, Kenyatta products, and Share of Life, True, Good Vibes, 67 Natural. Brother Heru with herbal results. His olive leaf extract and moringa cilantro is booming right now. A lot of folks are turning to it for a lot of different things, and including anti-inflammatory and other health remedies. We carry that. Garner's Garden, they have a whole range of products. So of course, Freedom Paper, which I mentioned earlier. So we're focused on those who are manufacturing personal care products, everyday stuff. So we're not at this point dealing with, even though sometimes we do feature other manufacturers, but it's not that's not a weekly thing, right? Like for instance, towards the end of last year, there's a brother who lives in Tanzania, and he brought like 30 Maasai blankets made in Tanzania, right? You've seen them blankets; they're all colorful. You've seen the brothers, sisters wearing them, and he brought them right to the co-op. So we featured them for a couple weeks, and sold out like that, right? He went right back to Tanzania, But that, products like that will come in from time to time, but the staple are those personal care products for the. So those are the manufacturers that we're focused on. The manufacturers of the goods that we are going to consume anyway. You're either going to get it from us, you're going to get it from some Target or get it from CVS or whatever. So we want you to get it from us. We want to provide it so you can get it from us. So things you have to buy, there's no reason for you to have to buy them from, sometimes we may not recognize them as adversaries, but when you're supporting Kimberly Clark Prize, you're supporting Alex. Alec is a white think tank, right? And they are focused on policies that are counter to the benefit of Black people. So with your money, you're funding them, right? And you're buying because you need bathroom tissue. What you gonna do, right? But you don't really have to buy it from them. You can really buy it from us, and that's the idea. It's to provide an avenue for us to channel those resources back into our community.
Appeal Inc. also had a Buy Black initiative around Kwanzaa.
Yes. So that's one of the main things that we do in connection with our local communities, our communities wherever. So during Kwanzaa, and I'm sure your audience is familiar with Kwanzaa, it happens for 7 days between December 26th and January 1st. During Kwanzaa, we partner with Black businesses, storefront businesses all over the country. And what we do is we have I guess a raffle. That's probably the best way to describe it. A raffle. We call it the flash mob or the Kwanzaa flash mob or a Black Business Initiative. And basically, the idea is during the 7 days of Kwanzaa, we want to give our people an incentive to introduce themselves to a Black business they haven't been to before. Of course, you can go to one you've been to before as well, but the idea is we know we don't support Black businesses enough throughout the year. So this is an opportunity to really focus on certain businesses, storefront businesses, and hopefully encourage folks who haven't been to them to go to them. And when you shop at these businesses during Kwanzaa, you send in your receipt to show that you're not just going and see what they got. You got to actually buy something, right? When you send in your receipt, and that receipt is a raffle entry. And at the end of Kwanzaa's all over the last day, we have a drawing where we have usually a first prize, second prize, third prize, grand prize, and then we have door prizes. So it's an incentive, and some of these pieces are usually it's art. It could be paintings, it could be sculpture, it could be chairs from Ghana, right? These little carved chairs, the lean back ones. It can be wonderful tables. So we try to really give quality pieces. There's gonna probably change the atmosphere of any room we put it in. And we have jewelry and other things as well that we give as prizes. But the idea is just to incentivize us. We know we're supposed to support Black businesses anyway. We know we're supposed to do that. But the idea is to incentivize it, make it a game, make it playful, make it fun, so folks who actually do it, they know they're supposed to do it, but they're going to do it more likely to get something from it. And hopefully, you've now introduced them to. They may not know that there's a Black pizza shop down the street, and now they're going to go there not just during Kwanzaa, but whenever, right? Because now they know it's there. The idea is to really introduce us to businesses that are around us. During that particular initiative, we focus on storefront businesses, and we have them. We just don't support them. Sometimes we right next to them. We don't know that they're there, right? So the idea is to create that habit during Kwanzaa and then carry it on throughout the year. Again, it's sort of a scavenger, hunt. You can see it that way as well. The idea is you buy, we give an email address when you're sending your receipt, and that receipt ends up being an entry for you. And at the end of Kwanzaa, we do a drawing and give prizes. And if you support a different business every single day of Kwanzaa, you're going to get a prize anyway, right? So we're really trying to incentivize folks to be serious about Black businesses, empowering Black people, and we partner with these Black businesses because the business owners themselves, they're focused on their business. Many of them are not necessarily in the community, but they're providing resources, at least avenues for resources and products for the community. So our goal is to help them connect with the community, help the community connect with them. They don't have to do all the marketing. We'll do all the marketing. All they have to do is just be there. They're not paying anything. It's not a cost to participate. They just have to be open, and we're gonna bring customers to them. And each day of Kwanzaa will promote certain businesses and try to get folks to go to Gallery Africa today between whatever. Go to Ujima between whatever. Right. So we try, we send out reminders, we do social media promotions for it. It doesn't cost the business anything. Appeal covers the cost of all of it, including promoting it and so on and so forth. Also, we can support these businesses during Kwanzaa. This is one of the things that we do every year.
So the Buy Black initiative is encouraging people to support Black business nationwide. It's not just the businesses affiliated with Appeal Inc. Is that correct?
Oh, none of these businesses are affiliated with Appeal Inc.
Okay.
None. I mean, they might have customers that are, but these are not Appeal affiliated businesses.
Okay.
Appeal is just a community organization. So these are just businesses in the community. We are there to facilitate the movement of currency within our community where we can, but these are not. There's no requirement that they have some connection other than their owners or their customers may be Appeal members or may not be. It doesn't really matter. We're there for the community. Whether the community even knows we're there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's more about the work. We're really there about the work.
Okay, and now Appeal Inc. is an organization, and organizations need members. What does membership entail? If a person joins, what are they expected to do?
Right. So Appeal is a membership organization. I'm very grateful for our members. We have almost 1,000 members throughout the country. So Appeal membership, first you have to agree to the mission of Appeal. That's the basic thing, right? You got to agree to the mission I stated earlier, which is the goal of organizing and utilizing those vast resources in order to create strong, prosperous communities for our people. I mean, it's sort of I hope you would agree to that, right? But you have to, right? And then there's a $50 annual membership fee. That membership fee allows us to do some of the things we've talked about today, because you need resources to do promotion and to connect, and to do all the different things that we're doing. So our membership fees allows us even to run our website and run a Zoom and do whatever. Sometimes, you have to give a little some of the presenters and the speakers and the elders in our community that are sharing with us. So that membership fee allows us to function as an organization, right? So it's $50 and it's renewable every year. And that allows you special privileges. I sort of see the membership fee as you supporting the mission, but with that, throughout the year, we will have certain businesses that will, of their own, they'll offer discounts to Appeal members. It's not something that we require them to do. It's just they do it. Sometimes we'll have for instance, it might be a movie premiere somewhere, and Appeal members can get in at a lower rate, or sometimes we'll have workshops where the workshops are free, but after coming to certain workshops, you either need to become a member or you pay $10 because again, it costs money to run those workshops, right? So for our members, they'll be free regardless. When we have events, we may have shows or programs or galas or whatever, there's certain costs that the general public will pay. Our members will pay less. At the co-op, for instance, all the products that almost all the products that we carry, members get them at a lower rate. In other words, the members are paying wholesale prices at the co-op. That's why it's a co-op. They're members of the co-op. So when you're a member of Appeal and you come to the co-op, you're buying all these products at the same price that we're getting them from the manufacturer. So the gain that we get, call it profit, that we get will come from folks who are not members, because they're paying retail, right? But the members allow us to have that space. So there are lots of of those types of benefits to being a member. But for me, aside from all the financial incentives, is really being part of this movement, being part of this work that we're doing. And for our members, we hope that they don't just pay the membership every year and go about their business. No, your talents are really more important to us. Your the amount of whatever you can give of your time in whatever way that you have to do it, that really allows us to do the work. We don't have employees, well, except for the co-op. We do have an employee at the co-op, but on a day-to-day basis, it's volunteers, right? So we want our members to get involved with the various organizations within Appeal, which are our committees. We have our financial literacy workshop committee, which puts together the financial literacy workshops, right? We have our CAC committee, which puts together the historical, cultural, political workshops. Somebody has to do that work. Somebody has to make those connections and organize these programs. We have our fundraising committee. We have the think tank, which we mentioned earlier. So we have our membership committee. So all these committees need people to volunteer. So in addition to, of course, that's not a requirement, but we hope that you find some way where you can channel the energy and the talent that you have towards achieving our mission, towards supporting Black people in general through the work of the organization. So, but the basic is that $50 membership, and it's renewable every year. And of course, I think the benefits are you're going to get the benefit from that just from going to the workshops alone. But there's way more benefit than that for the community.
You mentioned Nkechi Taifa in this whole subject of reparations. There are some groups online that are basically trying to cause division among the group. I don't want to mention them by name. They're doing this allegedly in the name of reparation. The fake experts on YouTube. I feel like the hidden hand is involved, trying to create that separation and division. What is your perspective on that?
Absolutely. I mean, and I started out at the very beginning saying, we need to be about bringing our people together. Oftentimes, the hidden hands, it usually are hidden hands, whenever there's benefit. The truth is, and we recognize this, that America can never really pay the debt it owes. It cannot. In other words, it owes more than it has. This country was built on the backs of Black people, with the blood and sweat of Black people. We are literally the capital in capitalism when it comes to this country. So we know that the biggest threat that America has seeing into the future is a recognition that this debt is come due, and there's a bill on nailed on their door, right? So there's a lot of folks who are trying to find a way to create confusion, trying to create confusion in a variety of ways, in terms of even identifying who's Black and who's not Black, all types of ways to divide us, bring confusion and redirect us. And definitely, there are folks who think they'll benefit from it, but we've gotten to a point where Black folks are too sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we will be fools to fall for it at this point. Anybody who is pointing you in any direction that's going to divide you from another Black person is pointing you in the wrong direction. And that's a basic thing. You just have to look at, are you closer to other Black people going in this direction, or are you further away from them? Are you putting another slash between you and some group of black people, or are you putting an equal sign there? It's really easy to analyze when you put it in basic terms, whether or not what you're involved with is really beneficial to our people ultimately, or is it actually counterproductive? So definitely, there are hidden hands. The reason why they're there is very obvious. Groups have been working towards reparations for a very, very long time. Even Brother Malcolm was talking about reparations. A lot of folks don't know that. So, any Johnny come lately trying to be the the prince of reparations or whatever it is, is just there for their own benefit. The work continues. Sisters like Sister Nkisha Taifa, and I would recommend folks to check out her book on reparations, which is also a memoir of sorts. To really get a good sense of what's really what reparations is really about, what's really happening, and how to actually get involved. Her book is called Reparations on Fire: How and Why It's Spreading Across America. If you really want to get involved in reparations and know what's going on and have resources to really get connected, I would recommend that. I mean, she has an unblemished record in terms of doing that work for our people, and she's been doing it for a very long time.
Okay, we are at the end of our hour. Is there any contact information you might want to give for people that might want to get involved with Appeal Inc.?
Absolutely. We invite people to our workshops. That's a real easy way to connect with Appeal. Our workshops are free. The first time, you go to the workshops, and if you like what you see, you want to join, and you want to just, you want to pay every week, you can do that as well. But they're free at the onset. So we invite folks to join in those workshops. And appealinc.org. Go to appealinc.org/events. That's a simple way to connect with Appeal. You can also go to appealinc.org if you want to join Appeal. You can go to appealinc.org. We have information on what we're doing, our different platforms, our committees, programs we're having. If you want to join, you can join right from the website, appealinc.org. You can also email us at info@appealinc if you have a question. Info@appealinc is a catch-all place. And that's info.appealinc.org, right? Appeal Inc. Info@Appeal Inc. is a catch-all. Any questions you have, if you want to get more information on anything, if you oftentimes we just get an email saying, I'm looking for an African store where I can buy a traditional outfit for a funeral I'm going to, and whatever, and we'll send you a reference to that, because we have those connections. So folks sometimes reach out to us to ask questions about, I'm trying to go to Ghana, I'm trying to go to Mexico, I'm trying to go to Colombia, and I'm trying to find a group to go with. We have those connections. We have members that are global. So appealinc.org is available for any of that, but it's a catch-all for all the information you want to get and all the resources that we have as an organization.
Brother Kelechi, I want to thank you for joining us and being such a fountain of information. We want to bring you back in the future so that you can give us an update on what Appeal Inc. is doing. Is that going to be possible?
Okay. Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.
Okay, brother. So we thank you for joining us, and we encourage you to stay safe and stay Pan-African.
Definitely. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to your audience for listening.
Oh, most definitely. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
All right, definitely.
All right, peace.